All right, guys. Ryan Manacho here with Firegang Dental Marketing. We're going to go ahead and get started on the webinar. This is the future of private practice dentistry. We're going to be looking at specifically how to attract and schedule new patients in an increasingly competitive landscape. I know there's a lot of different things you could be doing right now, so I just want to say thank you for choosing to view the webinar tonight and join us. If you have questions throughout, there is a Q&A box that you can use that you should be able to see on your screen. Feel free to put a question in there at any point. If we don't have too many questions, we'll go ahead and answer them just immediately in that section with whatever we're talking about, whether it's ads or websites or anything like that. If you have any other questions at the end, we'll definitely have an opportunity to take some Q&A at that point. So feel free to ask as many as you like, and we'll get to as many as we can. But this is going to be a jam-packed hour, a lot of stuff that we'll be covering. I've also got our CEO of Firegang Dental Marketing, Adam Zilko, on the webinar with us, and he'll be sharing some awesome insights as well as we get a little bit further on. But this is an agenda of what we're going to cover today. So we're going to start off with looking at the trends in dentistry. So what's happening right now, especially in private practice, and how has Firegang been able to achieve a 58% lift in new patients on average for our clients? There's tremendous things that are changing in the landscape for private practice dentistry, but when there's changes, that means opportunities present themselves. And so we've been able to look at these opportunities and make shifts, make changes, develop new strategies that are really seeing results for our clients with private practices all across the United States and Canada. There's three particular strategies that all top practices are using right now to 2x growth, and we're going to do a super deep dive into what those are and show you guys exactly how you can implement them in your practices as well. The last thing here is how to compete with corporate dentistry without sacrificing margins or quality of care. A lot of these top strategies are the ones that are being used by corporates. So if you feel like you are being pushed out by those, corporates are just being pushed out or squeezed by the heavy competition that's coming up in your area, we'll show you more of what these corporate practices are doing, why it's so effective, how you can do it better than they are right now. So we're going to go through a lot of content today, but we know it's a lot. That's why we're going to offer quite a few bonuses, and we're going to be talking about these throughout the webinar today, but stay to the end and we'll show you how you can get these. It's a lot of never before shared content that's exclusive to this webinar. And there's one particular offer that I know a lot of you are going to want to take advantage of, specific to you guys, specifically to those who have attended the webinar, not just those who are seeing the replay. So stay to the end to figure out how you can get advantage of this as we go through here. So let's go ahead and get into it. So look at the problems that are facing private practice dentistry today. First and foremost, competition. This is a screenshot here, but of one particular market. This is Gastonia, North Carolina, but really this could have been a screenshot of almost any market in the United States right now. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. You look at your dental practice and see just tons of others in the same area. This particular screenshot is a 3.6 mile radius, and there are 14 unique different dental practices in this area. Our research shows that dental patients will travel 3 to 5 miles to go to a practice in their area. So it's pretty local, but when you look at a screenshot like this, you see that this person now has at least 14 different options for who they can go to within that radius. So not only are we seeing corporates move in, but there's also just tons of private practices in this area. So how can you make sure that you're number one on this list of 14 and not falling behind being that 14th practice that people are going to? So what this is leading to, by 2026, we're going to see that the dental field is expected to grow 19% faster than average. So as the average profession and how fast they grow, how many more people are entering different fields in lots of different areas, dental field expected to grow that much faster than the average. Just this year alone, 6,000 new dentists are expected to graduate. Some of them are going to want to start their own practices. Others are going to work for large corporates, but that just means there's more and more people coming into the space, more and more competition. Furthermore, dentists are retiring later, so they're sticking around longer. Insurances are getting tougher, so you're making less money than you were before from the same types of patients. But lastly, corporates are moving into new cities and buying up private practices. And for many of you, this is probably something that you've already noticed, something that's probably already happened for you. And the competition for patients is increasing, and it's only going to continue to increase. If you're one of the few who don't have corporates in your area now, it's very likely that one of these large corporate chains is going to move into your city within the next 3 to 5 years. So as you're looking at this webinar, think to yourself, how can I better compete against the corporates in my area? How can I compete against the other private practices in your area? But if you don't have that much competition, be thinking, how can I future-proof my practice? How can I set up a strong foundation now so that way in 5 years, when competition doubles in my area, I will still be okay and I'll be able to live the lifestyle that I want to live, because the future is only getting more competitive. Corporate dentistry is not going anywhere. What we see from Dentistry IQ, from McGill and Hill Group, is that the most significant trend is the increase in the rise of corporate or group practices. Furthermore, while traditional dentists have relied heavily on internal marketing to build their practices, corporate dental management companies have adopted a different approach. So these corporates are spending 6 to 8% of their collections on marketing, whereas the traditional private practice dentist is spending only 2%. So what does that mean for you guys? Well, what it means is that they're flooding the market with a ton of offers, with a ton of marketing, doing a ton of advertising in tons of different places. So to the average patient, they're just seeing that the corporate practice is kind of the only one that's visible, kind of the only one that they know about, especially if they're new to the area. And if they don't know anything different, then maybe they're just picking it because it appears to be available. So with all this being true, how are we able to compete? Well, you've probably turned to blogs, turned to other trainings, turned to guides. Maybe you've been on other webinars just like this one. And one of the issues that we see is that a lot of these trainings focus on chasing patients, and they educate on chasing patients. And maybe a lot of you guys out there feel like you're doing this on a day-to-day basis, trying to chase down patients, get those numbers up, get the revenue targets, or hit those revenue targets. And this is going to be a huge problem, because if you're chasing every patient, what happens is when you finally reach them, when you finally track them down or get them into your practice, you're going to have to do some kind of a hard sell. Maybe they didn't want to deal with you personally. Maybe they just thought that you were the best offer at the time, and so they came in. Maybe they came in for a cleaning and it was basically free. You didn't make any money on it, and they never came back, or they did a consult, but they never actually came back for treatment. So what ends up happening when you're in this chasing mindset is you do things like discount your services. You feel like you have to win this price war with other private practices in the area. Use things like Groupon to just get as many patients as you can. But again, you're discounting your services. Maybe you accept insurances that you said you never would, but feel like you don't have another option. There's no other way to get patients except taking these insurances that make you work more, but for less money. So all this leads to frustration, burnout, lower profitability, and you continually have an empty calendar. So furthermore, you might feel like you're busy but not productive. And I get this one a lot, feeling like you have some patient base, but it's not for really these high revenue services. Maybe you're doing a lot of fillings and hygiene checkups. You're busy, you're always going, but it never feels like you're hitting the targets that you need to hit. Maybe you're doing tons of consultations, but just cannot get enough of those to turn into booked cases and booked treatment. I feel like you're getting pushed out by corporates and you're kind of become commoditized in your area. And ultimately, just not scheduling enough patients, not getting enough revenue to live the lifestyle that you want to live, to hit the goals that you want to hit. And if you can't find a way to consistently attract and schedule patients, then there's no way that you're going to be able to succeed in your particular marketplace. So that's probably why you're here tonight. We don't want you to have to close up shop or have to go work for someone else. So that's what we're going to talk primarily about tonight. What are these strategies to get you away from chasing patients down so that you can focus on attracting them to your practice and scheduling them with much more consistency? Before we get into any of these particular strategies, I want to just kind of step back and talk about who are we, who's talking right now, who's Firegang, and I'd love to, Adam, if you want to come on and speak a little bit about the company.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. I'm Adam Zilko. We've got a little bit here about me, and I'll get into that here in a second. A little bit about us, though. we're a Google certified partner company. We're nationally recognized publishers. We've been featured on NBC and national publications, covered in major outlets, Inc., CNN, things like that. We've been interviewed and worked with Howard Fraun at Dentaltown. We're one of 3 companies to consult with the ADA. We've partnered with everyone you see here. We spend millions of dollars a year with Google and have great connections with them directly, and have partnerships throughout the dental industry. All we do is deal with dentists. We do that throughout North America, and we do so into Canada. Here's a quick snapshot of us talking to Howard Fraun. We're a completely distributed team. We employ people all over the world, and we work everyone we employ is U.S. based. They're all full-time employees, but we have people that travel the globe. A little bit about me. I started the company in 2010. I've authored multiple books that have been Amazon bestsellers on dental marketing, and this is what I do. I've done this for a long time, even starting before this company, and then growing this company to what we are today. We're a multi-million-dollar company. We work in over 150 markets and work with only dentists throughout. So anything that you guys have seen, anything that you're dealing with, we've likely seen multiple times. We have likely dealt with it. We likely know exactly what needs to do to get that fixed or to help you out. Ryan, go ahead here.
Yeah, so just a little bit about me. I actually started on the client side of the business when I first joined Firegang, and so I was working directly with dentists on a day-to-day basis, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on dental marketing initiatives, trying to identify what works and what doesn't work specifically for dentists, and working hand in hand with Adam on a lot of different campaigns. More recently, I've been doing a lot of training, webinars, written many blogs and articles and white papers on dental marketing as well. And I really enjoy doing webinars like this because what I find is that it's tough to really master something until you've learned it, you've successfully applied it, and then shared it with others. Because once you can teach something to others in a way that they can really understand, it shows you have a true mastery of that subject. And one thing that we've really mastered at Firegang that Adam was talking about is that we've come up with a very unique way to attract and schedule new patients that's highly effective, that works in over 150 markets. And so it's not something that works for only one particular dental practice or one particular market, but something that really works at scale, because we want you to help you stop chasing these patients and become magnetic to them. We want you to get patients that come to you that are ready to have dentistry done when they walk in the door. Those who are willing to overcome time, distance, and money to be specifically seen by you. Because when all of these things happen, you're going to end up in a situation where you find success. And of course, success is different for everyone, but some of these might kind of hit home for you. Performing more of the services that you actually enjoy, that you want to do, whether it's cosmetic cases or implant cases. Building a practice that allows you to live your desired lifestyle for what you want to do on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you want to create something to leave for your children, or just become passionate about dentistry again and feel what you originally did when you're going through school or starting a practice for the first time, and be able to enjoy what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So let's put some numbers to this for kind of what our objective here is. For a lot of the dentists that I speak with on calls, they typically say in kind of a ballpark number that about $250,000 in additional annual revenue will help them hit that next major milestone. In a lot of cases, it's if I could get that revenue, I could hire an associate to take over some of the more general procedures that I just don't want to do anymore, so that I can focus on cosmetic cases, or I can hire another hygienist as well. Maybe I can add that second location that I just can't quite get to. So that $250,000 in annual revenue really seems to be that number. So how can we get there for a private practice? Well, the ADA estimates that the average first-year value of a new patient is about $1,450. So what this means is that if you're able to pull in 14 new patients per month, every month for a year, then that will add an additional monthly revenue of about $21,000, which will come out to your additional annual revenue of $250,000. So as we're kind of working through this webinar and coming up with this approach that we want to see you guys implement in your practice, just think about that. The goal here is get those 14 new patients per month. And of course, this is an average. Some are going to be lower, some are going to be higher, but that's kind of the target that we're looking at. And in order to get those 14 new patients per month, we really need to take a new approach. Marketing's been done the same basic way for decades, especially for dentists, and it doesn't work anymore. A lot of this is a piecemeal approach, and dental practices are suffering because of it. So the key here is that you want to treat your marketing comprehensively the same way that you would treat your dental patients comprehensively, right? So if someone came in and they had pain in their mouth and they had a tooth that just didn't look very good, you wouldn't just slap like a veneer over the top of it and call it a day, right? And just say, oh, it looks good, so the problem's solved. No, you would want to treat that holistically. You would want to get in there and figure out what is really the issue with this. Yes, cosmetically, we want to make it look better, but maybe there's some disease that we need to fix. Maybe there's some other issues that need to be fixed. And this is just one simple example about treating kind of marketing comprehensively. So specifically, what does this look like? Well, there's three major components to a profitable dental marketing strategy. And we're going to dive into each of these three components in significantly more detail to give you a game plan of exactly how you should approach this. But at a high level, it's visibility, differentiation, and conversion. So let's start with visibility. If people don't know you exist, if you're not visible in their eyes, then there's no way that any of the rest of your marketing or anything else that you do is going to matter, because they simply don't know you exist. So that's always step one, show up. Step two is differentiation. Once you do show up, once people know you exist, you have that visibility, we want to figure out how can we separate ourselves from the competition? How can we show that we're different so somebody should choose us? And the last step here is conversion, meaning are we able to convert those patients or into lifelong patients, or convert these calls or these leads into patients that are coming in the door in the first place? There's a lot of components of each of these. You know, visibility are things like your online advertising and rankings. Differentiation are things like your reviews and your website. And conversion is going to be focused more on your staff and your phones and tracking this whole system to make it work. But what we find at Firegang is that you have to have all three of these things working together as an integrated approach in order to see something that's going to be successful for your practice. Because if you see here, if we look at where these start to intersect in that blue one in the middle, if you lack visibility, no one can find you. If we look at the purple one on the left side, this is saying if we lack differentiation, well, you're not going to have enough phone calls. And this red one here, if you lack conversion, then you're going to have a ton of marketing spend but few patients, because you can't convert anything. So you're spending all this money, but it's all going to waste. So really think about that as we move through this. It's got to be an integrated approach. And before we get into some of the details here, I just want to share a few client examples. This is just a super quick video for those that have a few words on what happens when you get this integrated approach correct. Let me get the video here.
My revenues have increased in the last 2.5 months, 21%. But the new patients that I'm getting are patients that are they're ready to have dentistry done.
We have increased our collections by 27% in the last year. And a lot of that's because of y'all.
We're getting so many phone calls, just a lot of phone calls. New patient flow has doubled, more than doubled since we joined on Firegang.
And for every dollar I'm spending with Firegang through pay-per-click or the monthly service, I'm getting $15 in return. I mean, I'll do that all day long.
The bottom line is our website is the #1 ranking website in our area for every single category. And it's a very competitive area. And then the proof is really in the pudding in the end. And I saw really good results with Firegang.
All right, awesome. Go ahead and keep moving on here. One more example, if you remember that competition slide I showed at the very beginning of this webinar, one of these practices is actually a Firegang client, and it's that one circled there, Gastonia Family Dentistry. And while it's incredibly competitive in this area, we're still able to see very good results. And you can see here between 2016 and 2017, they averaged about 128 new patients per month. In 2018, by creating this integrated marketing approach, we got them a growth of 55 more new patients per month on average, which was a 43% lift year over year. And my goal here is not to, brag about Firegang or anything like that, but I want you to understand that when you stop piecemealing your marketing, when you stop doing it one dip at a time and you really use an integrated approach, this is how we get results that look like this. This is another Firegang client here before and after we implemented this integrated approach with these three components. just every month, year over year, was stronger than the one before. Another client, within their first 3 months, we're able to almost triple the amount of new patients per month that this practice was experiencing. And just awesome results able to be created through a lot of hard work, both on the doctor's end as well as on our end, to build this integrated marketing system. There's a couple of dental myths that I want to address before we get into some of the really nitty-gritty stuff. And the first one, and the most important one, I think, is this idea of my market is different or my patients are different. What we've seen at Firegang is that this simply is not true. A lot of doctors think that their market is so unique and so specific, and the people that live there are unique in their own way. And that is probably true, but not in the way that they shop for a dentist. What we see when we compare dentists as far north as, like Washington, as far south as Texas or Florida, up in New England, is that all the top practices, all the ones that are killing it in all these different markets, are all kind of doing the same thing, and they're all succeeding in the same way. And so it's not necessarily that the market is so different that there has to be a different approach here. The second myth is I need a pretty website. There's a very big difference between a website that is pretty and a website that works, and we're going to cover that in a lot of detail. Word of mouth referrals are better than marketing. Of course, word of mouth referrals are important and essential, but you need to think about what happens when the referrals run out. What happens when the referrals aren't enough? And you might be in a situation right now where that's true, and that's why you're on this webinar. So we've got to use these hand in hand. And as your marketing brings in more patients, word of mouth referrals are only going to increase. Established practices will always have the upper hand. Another huge myth that's certainly not the case. We've seen in a lot of practices that are startups that they can come in and crush it in their market because there's a lot of established practices who have not really marketed themselves very effectively. So if you're a startup and you're on this webinar, pay attention to these strategies, implement them correctly from day one, and you will see success using them. The last one here is I can hire a marketing company and just set it and forget it. Any kind of marketing is something that needs to be addressed over time and continuously updated and continuously monitored. And part of that's going to be a feedback loop with the marketing company that you do choose to work with. So this isn't necessarily, no kind of successful marketing is set it and forget it. But with that, let's dive into the visibility engine. So step one with any integrated marketing strategy is you got to show up where the new patients that you want are looking for a dentist. So what creates a practice's online visibility? It's kind of 5 major components here. There's the website, of course, because these patients have to have somewhere to go online to view you. The second one is SEO, search engine optimization. How can we get your practice ranked higher in the Google search results? The third is online reviews. Are you showing up online when people are looking for reviews about you? Facebook advertising, showing on Facebook, and Google ads, getting advertisements up on Google. This is a quick screenshot to show the amount of people that are using the internet to find local businesses. And there's a lot of numbers here, but essentially what it boils down to is kind of this data in the very bottom. 97% of consumers use the internet to find a local business in 2017, which was up from 95% in 2016. Point is, people are online, they go online to find local businesses, and they pretty much only use the internet to find local businesses. So you have to be online, you have to show up there, and if you're not, then you're going to continue to struggle, and your practice will continue to struggle to bring in new patients. And this kind of goes back to this idea of the integrated strategy. If you had dropped a ton of money on a website and you think it's amazing and it looks really, really great, but you haven't tried to get that website to show up online where these patients are looking, then that website's not really doing anything for you. So we've got to have both of these components working together. All right, let's take a quick example here. This is the population of Anchorage, Alaska. There's about 294,356 people that live there, and this is just according to Google's data. So of that total population, what we see based on our market research, based on the data that we can use, it's all third-party data, that there's about 3,128 people looking for a new dentist online in that market every single month. Remember when we said how many patients we needed to get every month in order to get an additional $250,000 in annual revenue? It was 14. So don't you believe that out of this 3,000 people, there's about 14 of them that your practice could capture? There absolutely is. The opportunity is absolutely there. We just got to do a few of these things correct. Even if your market is not that big, maybe it's a little bit smaller, like the population of Concord, which we do have another client in, there's still almost 1,000 people looking for a new dentist online in that market every single month. So the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there in your market online. We just got to move you in the right direction. So let's take a Google search here. If I'm just a patient looking for a dentist online and I go to Google, typically I'm going to type in one of two things. And this is what we see with all of our research, is that they're going to type in either dentist near me, or they're going to type in dentist in and in the city. So this is Anchorage, Alaska. So they might type in dentist near me, or they might type in dentist in Anchorage, or Anchorage dentist, like something kind of like that. At the top here, you're going to have all the Google ads, and you can see here, this is Anchorage Midtown Dental's Google ad at the top here, one of our clients. And then as we scroll down the page, we get into the map section with all the review listings, as well as the organic search section at the bottom with all the organic listings. So the one thing that you probably notice first off is that Anchorage Midtown Dental is in all three of these sections right at the top. That's creating a massive amount of visibility for this practice. If I look in the ads, they're there. If I look in the map section, they're there. If I look in the organic section, they're there. And you can do the same search for your practice by just going to Google and typing in dentist near me and see if you show up at all. If not, then we need to start making a few adjustments that we're going to tell you how to do in just a second here. First and foremost, let's look at Google ads. I get a lot of questions about what makes a good Google ad, what's a bad Google ad, how do I know if it's going to convert or not? Well, there's a couple key specific things to think in mind. The first is that 25% of patients will make decisions based on Google ads. So for some of you out there that think, well, I don't look at Google ads, so maybe patients don't look at Google ads. Well, just because you don't look at Google ads does not necessarily mean that patients are also not looking at them. And it's not the whole gamut here, but are you really willing to give up 25% of the new patient pool just because you think it may or may not work? This is hard data that we've seen with all of our clients. And so we definitely want to have a presence here. Now, when you are building out Google ads, there's a couple things that you want to keep in mind. And if we compare these three ads here at the top of the page, I'd love to get some engagement here if you guys can, whether in the chat box or the Q&A box. Tell me which of these three, just starting top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, which of these do you think is the most effective based on whatever factors you think, based on when you're reading these, that you think might be most effective to a patient who was looking for a new dentist in this area. I'll see if anyone wants to engage here with any thoughts. I'll keep this open. No one wants to take a bat? All right, I'll give you the answer. So think about it like this. If you've got 100 dentists in a room and you ask a question to everybody in that room of, let's take these ads to the top here, dental care for everyone. If you say, do you guys offer dental care for most people in the town? Everyone's probably going to say that they do. And then if we take the second one, do you treat patients like family? Kind of like this third ad says here. Everybody's going to say, yeah, of course we do. Of course we treat patients like friendly. And then let's take this next idea. Are you friendly to patients? Like this third ad says, we're friendly and welcoming. Well, of course, everybody's going to continue to say yes. Welcoming, of course we're welcoming. What about, do you guys have availability? Of course everybody has availability. Again, like this third ad says. But now let's get into some more specific questions. Who in here is open 7 days a week? Well, all of a sudden, maybe there's only a handful of dentists still saying that applies to them in their practice. Who in here offers sedation? Who in here offers same-day dentures, right? So what do these last three things have in common? They're all specific differentiators to a practice. They're things that one practice can say that another practice can't say. So if we look at Anchorage Midtown Dental's ad in the middle here, you can see that all of this stuff is built into it. Open 7 days a week, $2.99 new patient exam special offer, offer sedation, same-day emergencies, dentures in a day. So these are all things that are giving somebody a reason to click on this ad versus clicking on somebody else's ad. And that's what makes this so much more powerful than an ad like this third one that just kind of says, hey, we're a dentist, we exist. So if you're working with a marketing company right now, or you're doing your own marketing on Google, take a look at it, see what it says. If it's just kind of a we exist ad, it may not be getting you the results that you're looking for. All right, furthermore, your Google ads need to integrate with your website. So a common mistake that I see doctors make is something that looks a little bit like this. And obviously this is a really simple graphic, but you might have a couple different ads running for your dental implants, your dentures, and maybe one for general patients. And they're all pointing towards the homepage. So every single ad all goes to the homepage. Well, the issue with that is that if I'm looking for dental implants and I click on an ad for dental implants and then I land on a website that doesn't say anything about dental implants on it when I get there, then I'm just gonna hit the back button. I'm just gonna leave, like, just because it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like I've been duped in a way, and that doesn't put a very good feeling in my mouth. And the same is true for dentures, and the same is true for any other service. But I see doctors making this mistake all the time with their marketing. So what you want to do with a fully integrated approach is make sure every single one of your ads lands on that specific service page. Your implant ad should go to your dental implants page in your website. Your dentures ad should go to the dentures page in your website, so on and so forth. When we make this change to a dental practice's marketing strategy, to their website, to their ads, we typically see a 20% lift in new patient leads just from making this change alone. It has a huge impact. So I know there's a lot that we covered here on Google Ads. At the end of this webinar, we'll show you how you can get a free copy of our pay-per-click ads for dentists. It's the ultimate guide. It's super jam-packed with tons of ad examples, more on all of this topic. You're definitely going to want to stay to the end to figure out how you can get this. Also, if you'd like, we can run you through some of this Google ad stuff, talk specifics about your market and your practice, what might work better for your specific practice and what kind of the goals you're trying to achieve are. So at the end of this webinar, we'll also talk about how you can get a one-on-one call with me or Adam or just someone on our team, one of our experts, and we'll kind of walk through some of this with you on a marketing assessment call. So stay tuned for that as well. Next, we'll take a look at SEO, and I'm gonna have Adam jump in and give you a rundown on this.
Hey guys, yep, thanks Ryan. So there's a lot of things that you can do to start showing up within the map listings we show on Google. This is one of the most predominant areas that we'll see practices rank, and you'll fluctuate in here depending on if you type in dentist near me, that can fluctuate depending on how close you are to certain practices. Or if you type in the city, that'll change as we saw earlier. So these will rotate through, and so there's a lot of things that you can do to figure out where you're showing up. Our goal is to be in here in as many relevant cases as we can, and we want to look at some of the ways that we can do that. And also to show up within the map listings on Google, there's a kind of a different algorithm that Google's going to look at to determine that. So there's certain things that you have to do aside from optimizing your website, and also how you can engage people with these listings as well. So let's go ahead and look at this. So 75% of patients are likely to click or make a decision on Google based on these Google Map listings. There's a few things that play into this. So this is a kind of a complex graphic, but across the internet, you've got all of these different listings, and these are just a handful. There's hundreds. At Firegang, we actually go in and optimize well over 200, including many specifics on behalf of our clients to strengthen this. But basically what you have is you have all these online directories like Yellow Pages and MapQuest and Google My Business and Facebook and Bing and Yelp. And I mean, many of these you guys have heard of. Every one of these has information about your practice. They have what's called your name, address, and phone number. That's referred to as your NAP data, name, address, and phone number. It's also referred to as a citation. Basically, what Google's doing is looking across the web and scraping that data to understand is the data accurate and consistent and trustworthy. And if so, they're more likely to list you because that sends signals to Google that, hey, I can trust this data. I can show this business. Think about years ago when Apple launched their map listing or their map app, and it was wrong. People were driving onto the runways at the airports and just driving down one-way roads because Apple told them to turn left instead of right. and they got a lot of bad feedback. Google doesn't want to do that. So Google is not going to show data that they don't trust. Our goal here is to go out and build out a bunch of data that's consistent across the web and then optimize it for your location and for your market and for your services. So the first step here is to make sure that this data is all correct and accurate. And we'll have a guide to show you guys how to do that. But one of the things that you can look at is like Moz has a local tool that can help you quickly identify some of this. There's other tools out there. And what we'll do is we'll actually give you 32 of the top online directories you need to be in. Again, at the end of this, we'll give you access to a guide that you'll grab that we've already created for you. We optimize for well over 200. It's very time intensive, and some of them we either have specific partnerships with specific directories, or it's directories we found to have more weight in the dental industry than others. However, we don't expect that most people have that much time or will be able to go out and do that themselves. So we're going to give you the big ones, and this is going to give you a huge advantage within your market. Getting this right will mean quite a bit to you showing up within Google. Some other things that we'll talk about here, and Ryan will kick back over to Facebook here, but some other things that play a role will be your reviews and how people engage within that map listing. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But at the end of this, grab that guide. That'll tell you what you need to do to optimize for that spot on Google. And then we can kind of drill into the reviews here in a minute.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. The last piece that we'll cover in terms of getting as much visibility as possible for your website is going to be running Facebook ads. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about Facebook ads. It's kind of a shiny object and very, very popular right now. And that's for good reason, because it absolutely works. But Facebook ads are very different in how they operate from Google ads, and you can't kind of do the same thing on both platforms. So Facebook doesn't use keywords to target. It focuses on demographic data. And this is what makes it so powerful. So you can target like an elderly English-speaking woman in, Concord, North Carolina, and show her a Facebook ad that's specific to something like implants or dentures. And by getting this targeted and getting this specific allows these ads to get just incredible results for you. So I want to show an example of, this is first an Invisalign ad of something that works and something that doesn't work. The first thing to keep in mind when you're running any kind of a Facebook advertising campaign is to be specific. So what you don't want to do is say like, hey, we exist, like put a picture of yourself and then use some kind of copy on there that says, for all your dental needs, click here to book an appointment, because it just lacks any kind of a reason for why someone would want to click on it or do business with you. But what you can see here on the left of what worked, this is an ad for one service, just Invisalign, and it focuses specifically on that. And furthermore, it targets to a specific individual that's most likely to get Invisalign. In this case, it was women ages 25 to 55 within about a 5-mile radius of the practice. And then the ad talks about, learn more about clear braces. Straightening teeth is as easy as it is invisible. Furthermore, you don't want your ad to look too done up or look too much like an ad. It's kind of a fine line, but what you'll see in like the what didn't work pane on the right side, this image here, it's got the big $1,000 off Invisalign, and it's too much. It looks too much like an ad, so people scroll right past it in their Facebook feed. They're used to, ads being on Facebook, and so it's a fine line there. But if you're going to include any kind of text that says like dollar off amounts, that's definitely not going to work, at least what we've seen in our experience, what our data is showing. From this ad on the left here, you can see the results there. Within a 3-month time frame, this ad generated 20 leads for Invisalign for just $448. So that's obviously a pretty low ad budget, but for those of you who want to be more aggressive and spend maybe $500 to $1,000 a month, using an ad like this can really generate some great leads for Invisalign patients. This is another example for dental implants. What worked super, super well in this ad was the copywriting specifically. And I know that it's a little bit hard to see, but at the end of this, you can grab our Facebook ads guide and we'll show you how to grab that, where this ad's actually in there and it breaks down specifically how we wrote it, why we wrote it that way, and why it was so successful. And you can see from the results on the bottom that this ad generated 46 dental implant leads for the practice at just $30 per lead, which is incredible, because if you think about the return on investment, I don't have to tell you how much a dental implant can be worth to your practice if you get a patient who wants treatment for that. But the general idea behind this is that we want to focus on the benefits to the patient and really focus on what is this kind of service going to provide them, and build that into our copy here. So definitely grab this Facebook ads guide. Wait till the end. I'll show you how to get a free copy with everything else as well. And again, I know this is a lot of stuff here. So if you need help or have any questions for myself or Adam, just go ahead and go to firegang.com/future. We'll have this link come up a few more times in this webinar to make sure you don't forget it, but you can schedule a call with us. It'll just be about 30 to 45 minutes. We can chat about what your goals are, what you're doing in your practice right now, talk about any of the strategies that we've discussed today, and really help you get on the right track for getting those implemented and actually executed for your practice. So you can head over to firegang.com/future at any point. We'll go ahead and get that call booked. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Adam to talk about differentiating your practice.
All right, guys. Yep. So this is the big thing. Ryan spoke to this a little bit, but this is one of the biggest things that we see missing in most marketing today, is that there's a lack of strong differentiation. So when I speak at conferences, or I'm speaking to a room of dentists, what I'm looking to try to get people to understand is, how do you differentiate yourself in the eyes of the consumer? So if I say, like Ryan mentioned earlier, you got a room full of people and I say, raise your hand if you offer care for everyone, or you treat patients like family, or you're friendly, or you have experience, or you're welcoming, or you have availability. Everyone in the room is going to keep their hand up, right? To the patients, this is noise because everyone's saying the same thing. There's nothing unique about it. You don't differentiate yourself at all. And so if you start saying things like you're open, I mean, most dental practices are not open 7 days a week, but if you are, that's huge because, again, nobody else is. Or you're open Saturdays or nights or weekends or something like that. You offer sedation, or you offer another specific service that they want, that everyone else isn't saying. And listen, maybe everyone in your area offers these same things, but they're not saying them. So when you start looking at your market and you start doing some competitive analysis, Google search and read what everyone's saying, and then figure out what you can say that's different. Do you offer same-day dentures, or do you have financing options? If you're wanting higher-end products to get sold, offer financing options. Your biggest car manufacturers in the world, even Ferrari, offers financing options, right? Mercedes-Benz offers financing options. I know people that lease Rolls-Royces. So it doesn't matter. People want options to buy, and you want to give them those. Give them financing options. Show them how they can get implants for zero money down, or a low monthly payment if that's something that you're willing to do. Do you have a new patient special? I always recommend this because if you're not doing this, somebody else is. And when you roll up the money that you invest into marketing, take this out of that. So if you can bring someone in for a few dollars less, put that towards your marketing budget, because you're going to convert more people. And if that doesn't make sense, hop on a call and I'll explain what I mean. But you're not giving away the farm, but there's people that have money, they have it because they don't want to spend, they don't want to blow it on things that they don't need to. And if a lot of people are offering promotions to get people in the door, don't feel like you are an outlier and you can't do something like that too, especially if nobody else is doing it, because then you've got some low-hanging fruit. The same thing goes with your website. When someone lands on your site, what are they seeing that tells me as a consumer how you're any different? What you'll see in a lot of our sites, and we'll go into this, but it's a little blurred out, but you see a lot of things that we try to put front and center when someone hits the site. This is, hey, this is how I'm different. This is how I differentiate. And what we do is we see a lot of practices reach out to us, and there's like a perception that there's two types of websites out there, and at least this is what we see. So there's the customized pretty site. We've had clients that have not moved forward with us because they wanted a custom design, something that looked and felt like a pretty site. The challenge there is that it's untested. It can take 6 to 12 months to work out the conversion elements. It's difficult to predict results in. Decision making is based on emotion rather than metrics. So in all the years, and 10 plus years of doing this, dealing with countless dental practices, if we come in and say, hey, what do you think looks like a nicely designed site? Everyone's got an opinion, but nobody really knows. And so what we want to do is take that away and say, okay, what's going to work? And then the emphasis when it's a pretty or eloquently designed site is the emphasis is put on how it looks rather than how well it works. So the second type of website is a conversion optimized site. And this is what I want everyone to get in the mindset of, is that sites that convert, that's all that matters is conversions. If you're sending 1,000 people to a website that's pretty and not a single one of them picks up the phone, what good does that do you? If you send 1,000 of them to a conversion optimized site and twice as many people convert as the pretty one, that's a better result. So our sites have been thoroughly tested in over 150 markets. Are engineered to be producing results from day one. The decision making is based on metrics and numbers rather than emotion or desire. So we see significant improvements by generating anywhere from close to 300 average percentage rate of increase in new patient calls versus fully custom sites. And then we put the emphasis on how well it works versus how it looks. Again, we want you out of the mindset of like what's pretty, what reflects my emotional needs or my thought theory on what looks good. Let's tie it back to what's going to drive the most amount of new patient phone calls, the most amount of patients getting booked online, the most amount of people scheduling appointments. Because at the end of the day, all it matters is the patients themselves and their experience. So we want to give that to them. So here's a quick example. We kind of referred to this Anchorage Midtown earlier on. Years ago, they came to us and they said, hey, we want something that kind of reflects the Apple website. Years ago, Apple's website kind of had this clear design with the menu options, a lot of white space, and so on. And so we did that, but then we began to split test. And later on, we moved to this model here. Now, what you see on this design layout is that you see trust factors above the fold. You see the phone number front and center with a book and appointment in orange. You see things that outline their differentiators. So they're open 7 days a week, 1 to 2 day dental implants, family-friendly dentistry, in-house dentures, IV sedation, same-day emergency appointments. And then we get into a real photo of the staff, which they had in the previous one, but we want to reflect that throughout this process. You should be showing patients your office, your staff. Get rid of stock images. Just burn them to the ground. Don't ever put stock images on your site if you can help it, because you'll see your conversion rates jump. And they don't have to be professionally shot. Use a cell phone, get a great amount of photos, and find the best ones that work, and that's gonna help you out a lot. You also see here reviews placed above the fold, front and center. There's a review from a patient. We actually link to where that review is at, which in this case is on Google, that outlines, okay, this is third-party social proof of what's going on. So people love this practice. These are all above the fold. All these things, no matter where you look on this page, we're looking to instill trust and confidence and differentiate. We're looking to tell patients exactly what to do, to book an appointment, to click to call the office. Everything is here, easy to see. If they want to deviate to another page, they can at the top, but everything is front and center here, right before they even begin to scroll down. When we implemented this is the hard data. They saw a 2% conversion rate, less than that before this. After this, well over 5% with it fluctuating. And this is just this is with the same amount of traffic, nothing else changed. Year-over-year data. So I mean, this is over a 3x increase, and so depending on where we're at here, and it's significant, right? No other changes, but by building a site that's designed to convert better, we get much better results. And that's why when we talk about conversions throughout our process, everything has to be based on those other things, right? You have to be visible, but then you differentiate, and that's how you convert. So that's part of this. So things that you guys can think about: do you have awards? Do you have financing options? How do you perform specific services that are different in your market? Are you open late or on weekends? Do you have special offers? Is it easy to book with you guys? So can people book online directly through your site, or is there another option so that they don't need to call your staff? And can they bypass that? We don't go into too in depth on this, but being able to book online is a big thing, something that we work a lot with our practices on, because that gets people to stop shopping and it gets them to commit to your office. And then we tell them what to do next. And like I said before, we want pictures and personal information. Make this a real office and a real unique experience to each potential shopper so that they know what they're getting into. They're going to bring their family to you. They're going to bring their kids to you. I mean, listen, people are scared to go to the dentist in a lot of cases. Let's remove some of those roadblocks. And stock images don't do that. We're looking to do that with real photos. If you can get video of your staff, video of your office, video from patient testimonials, put that up. That's all going to help, and that's going to further support the fact that you guys are worth coming to and that you are unique in your market. So the last thing that I talked about earlier when we were looking at the map listings is your online reviews. There's something that I like to show people is that if I'm on Amazon and I'm looking at options here, which one am I going to choose? There's no question I'm going to choose the one with the higher amount of reviews. There's a big perception that goes on here is that more reviews equal the better products. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not. One might have been on Amazon longer. This is a wide gap anywhere, looking at 30,000 to 99. But even if the next option had 300 reviews to 99, the perception still exists. We've thoroughly tested this in multiple markets, and the practices that have more reviews on Google win. The other thing to consider here is where these reviews are at. So if these products, let's say this bottom product has a bunch of reviews on a third-party site like Ratabiz or something else that you guys might have, well, that's useless to me because I'm on Amazon and I'm shopping on Amazon. So I'm going to read the reviews that are given to me there. Google's the same way. So the reviews, they need to be visible. That means they need to be on Google when people are shopping. If you've got them on a third-party site, that's not helping you, and it's honestly, it's a waste of time and energy for you and your staff in your office, right, and your patients. You want your reviews to be on Google and potentially on Yelp. Start with Google. The thing is also is that you need a process that's easy for patients to leave reviews. We can help you with that. We've got a guide that we'll give you. But the big thing is create a patient review system or process and have patients leave reviews before they leave the office. Once they get in their car to leave, the last thing they're thinking about is leaving you a review. So you need a process to help with that. If you guys need help with that, again, we've got some guides. For our clients, we actually have software that hooks into the practice management system that'll work with patients to leave those reviews before they leave the office. Very, very effective. And then again, it also needs to be easy for the staff. So if there's a complicated system to try to get the staff to ask patients for reviews and they're not rewarded for that, there's no incentives in place, there's no benchmarks, they're likely not going to want to do it. And that's where the rubber meets the road here. So these are the big three things that you need to have for you to get consistent reviews. And when we do these things and we focus on Google, you see things like this client that we talked about earlier that has implemented this process that we help them with. So you're looking at, these are all legitimate patient reviews from real patients. These aren't fake. These are honest to God real patients. You've got almost 1,200 reviews as compared to 70 or 155. Think about what that would do in your market. The other thing is that Google's looking at the engagement of all these reviews and the fact that people are basically working out or engaging with this listing on Google. Those are strong signals that people are using this practice, and that actually helps with our search engine optimization to get us to show up higher. Rankings are helped in part by online reviews. This, again, Google wants to encourage the use of this area on their maps listing. And by having a lot of reviews and a lot of engagement, having this be well optimized, also going out and doing those things like we talked about within the directories, doing some things on the site to optimize that, you're more likely to show up here. We typically see that the practices that have hundreds, if not thousands of reviews, they're usually ranking incredibly, incredibly highly on Google if they're doing these other things as well. And this plays a key role. But the big thing here isn't just visibility, but it's now you've got the differentiation, right? You're looking at three options. Who am I going to choose? I'm going to choose a guy that everyone else in town is using, and then that becomes a conversion point, right? So differentiate and then convert. Like we said, I know that Ryan said we'd mentioned this a few times. If you've got questions, you need help with this, we're happy to chat. Just schedule a quick time to chat with us. Just go to firegang.com/future and schedule a time. Just pick something that works for you guys. We'll hop on a call. We can talk through some of this and show you how you can potentially do this in your own practice or work with us on some of this as well. The last part of this is kind of the conversion formula. So how do we improve your marketing return on investment? By training your staff to convert phone calls to patient appointments and track your results. So this is a big thing. Conversions are huge. We showed earlier on the website, the two websites, one converted at 3x the other one. If your conversion rates are low, here's just a quick rudimentary chart, right? If you've got a low conversion rate, you're spending $2,000 on ads, it gets you 10. You get cost per click of $10, that gives you 200 visitors. If you got a conversion rate of 2%, you get 4 leads. You convert on the phones at 40%. You turn 1.6 of those into patients, right? So for your $2,000, you get $2,400. You drop down and you start increasing that. to a conversion rate of 6%, and then you increase the conversion rate on the phones, and now you dramatically increase the outcome there. So based on what we see, we dramatically want to increase the conversion rate throughout the whole process. The last part of this is being phone calls. Now, I mentioned earlier, we do some really cool things where we'll help practices with their online booking. We won't go into too much here, but what we want to talk to you quickly about real fast is the phones. Ryan, you want to take this over?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest ways we see dentists kind of break their overall new patient attraction strategy is the phone. So you can do everything else right. You can have the Google ads right. You can have an amazing website that's designed to convert, and it's going to bring a ton of calls to the practice. But what happens at that point? Well, of course, the staff has to pick up that phone. So what are the things that you can do to increase the amount of calls you get to convert into booked new patient appointments? What we like to see at Firegang is a 60 to 80% conversion rate on the phones. So the number one secret to converting on the phones is to build rapport. And so what does that mean specifically? Very, very simple stuff. You want your staff to ask for that patient's name, ask for a callback number, control the conversation, and ultimately ask for an appointment to be booked. So we did a lot of secret shopping with various practices all across the United States, and we'd call up the practice and pretend to be a patient. And these were four of the kind of main things that we looked at among others. But you'd be surprised how many receptionists never asked for a name, never asked for a callback number, and never asked ultimately for the appointment. They were kind of more of just answering questions that we had. And in your case with your staff, it might be a similar situation, whether your staff's more just answering the questions instead of trying to book an assessment or book an appointment. When you do build this rapport the correct way, or your staff does, you end up creating a differentiator for your practice. You become much more memorable in that person's mind. You stand out and you start to build a little bit of trust with them. So some side-by-side comparisons. In 2018, we listened to over 65,000 patient calls. That's a lot of calls that our team listened to. So we're able to kind of identify where the difference is here. And 9 out of 10 times for people who qualified for Invisalign treatment but didn't move forward with scheduling an appointment was due to lack of rapport. So some receptionists who did a really, really great job with this asked for the appointment. They were able to get that person in at least for a consultation, at least get them in the door versus those that couldn't. So part of this could be that you maybe take a day to just listen to your receptionists, see what they're saying, try to identify where some areas of opportunity are. And then what I'd highly recommend is grab our phones guide. We'll give this to you at the end of the webinar here to show you how you can get it. There's some excellent scripts in there for exactly what to say. You can give this to your staff and have them run with it, really improve their conversion rates. But if you want us to get involved, maybe we could audit your staff for you, look at some areas of opportunity when it comes to the phones. We'd be happy to do that. You can just book a call with us and we'll run through it with you. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Adam to discuss tracking.
Yeah, guys. Hey, everyone. We're a little bit over on time. We appreciate it. We've only got a few slides left, and we'll wrap this thing up. The tracking is a big thing for us and our clients. If you're not tracking, then you really don't know what's going on with the marketing. You don't know what's effective. You don't know your conversion rates, and you don't know your return on investment. So what we did is we went out and built the best-in-class tracking and analytics system, proprietary to us, but it's based on a lot of things that you guys can start to look at in your office. And this is feedback on what dentists want to see all across the country. So like Ryan was talking about, what we want to do is write down or understand by rep, by person answering the phone, what are their conversion rates. So if you guys have tracking in place, if you, we use CallRail. There's other platforms. I think CallFire is another one. There's several that'll track your phone calls and record them. If you can set that up, again, if you've got questions, let us know. Put those in place and put tracking numbers up on the site and start listening to what's going on with those calls, because you'll learn a lot about what your staff is saying or what it's not. Just recently, we found one of our long-term clients, one that we've actually even mentioned in this whole presentation, was referring implant leads out to the guy down the street because they didn't think that they took them in-house. It just was a training issue. Things like that you'll find, and that can dramatically change all this. So we want to do that. We want to know historically how things are trending. Are you moving up and right into the right in the throughout the course of your marketing, and what's going on there? Are your costs per calls or cost per leads going down. And then also, this is just a quick approximation of like what kind of numbers as a roll-up you'd want to understand. So what does your practice growth look like? How much are you paying per lead? How much are you paying per new patient? And what kind of ROI are you seeing out of your advertising dollars? In this case, this practice, this is what they're seeing. You know, the point is if you're tracking these things, and you can start to make smart decisions throughout the entire process. If you're tracking every step of it, then that's going to help you guys out greatly. If you've got analytics in place, some of these things are free. That'll give you that. If you can implement the call tracking, that'll help show you this. And then for some of these, you can calculate out the metrics to help get you what you need there as well. Lastly is the big thing to all this to keep in mind, and this is one of the last slides here, an integrated approach to all this is how this all works together. If you are, let's say, piecemealing out just ads, for example, we've had people call us to say, hey, will you just run my Facebook ads for me? Typically, we won't do that because we want to track that patient journey and be able to make sure that those conversion rates are happening throughout that process. For example, if we run Facebook ads and people are then going to a website that's poorly designed, you've got a low conversion rate. Then if the staff isn't trained or they don't know what to do on those calls, or they're not answering all the phone calls or whatever else, you're seeing a low conversion rate there. What that then in turn, what we find then in turn with that is that the Facebook ads are perceived as not working, whereas they actually are. It's just these other things as part of this funnel are not. This goes throughout this entire approach. So what you want is to understand that marketing is a very integrated approach, is the path forward. You don't want to piecemeal out a website to one company and then paid ads to another company and then call tracking to another company. If you could bring them in under one roof and you could track them together, you can follow that patient journey throughout, and you can make adjustments and changes throughout that whole process. And that's really what we want to do with this integrated approach. So I think if if you guys are at your computer, you're watching this webinar, Ryan, what else? I think this is about basically everything we have here, right? We're just asking what we need to do next.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Go ahead and take this over, Ryan, and I think that's it for me.
Yeah, so everyone, if you're at your computer, if you're watching this webinar, you've heard how this works. And if you're starting to see how using these strategies are the keys to kind of growing your practice, but you feel like maybe you're missing a clear plan of action, I understand that this might feel like you're just getting hit by a big wave of information if a lot of this is unique to you or new to you. So if you'd like something that's a little bit more custom tailored to your unique situation in your practice, then go ahead and get all the bonuses that we've been talking about through this entire webinar. So if you go to that link, firegang.com/future, you can get a hold of all of these: the perfect dental Facebook ad strategy, our phones guide, our pay-per-click ads for dentists guide. We'll give you access to Firegang's private Facebook group where you can interact with other dentists, ask questions. We'll also get you a time scheduled for a free one-on-one marketing assessment call where we'll build out a little bit of a marketing plan for you, assess your practice, understand what the next best steps are for you to take, and how you can start executing on that to hit your goals. And so we'd love to talk to you soon. If you have any questions now as well, me and Adam will be around here for a couple of minutes. Happy to ask or answer anything about any of the slides, any of the topics that we covered. There should be a Q&A box or a chat box on your screen. Feel free to type in there. But for anyone else, yeah, just head over to firegang.com/future. You'll see this booking link, kind of calendar looking thing on that page. Just book a time on there. As soon as you schedule your call to talk with us, it'll immediately email you your bonuses. So you can get all 4 of those guides. And there's also a link in there to get access to the Facebook group. So I really encourage you guys to chat with us, take advantage of this opportunity, get all those guides, and just start moving in the right direction.
Awesome, guys. Well, if anyone's got any questions, we'll keep this open for a few minutes. We'll be around to answer any of those. Feel free to just drop them in the Q&A box or shoot us an email. Happy to chat, happy to help.
See if we got any questions here.
Dr. is it Dr. Imes? Looks like that is. He asks, what's the best way to look at an integrated approach? What do we mean by that? So what do we mean by an integrated approach is basically when your front end of the funnel talks to the back end of the funnel and everything in between is kind of connected with direct oversight. That's kind of your integrated approach. So having everything kind of run with your paid ads, your Facebook ads, the website, the tracking, the analytics, the call listening, the call coaching, the call tracking there, the booking, all that integrated under one integrated solution. That's how you get the best results, because that's how you find if there's breaks in the funnel or there's something else going on. If you've got any leaky holes, typically they could fix that because they're tracking that patient journey. So that's typically what we mean by that integrated approach. And we'll put out some additional stuff on that as well. Dr. S, okay. So Dr. S asks basically what's the best way to tell if your ads are unique in your market? What we typically recommend is grab a list from your marketing company, or if you're running them yourself, pull those up, read what everyone else is writing, and then go about looking at what can you say that's unique that's going to separate you within that marketplace. So the things we talked about earlier on, how can you implement those or say those within your marketplace to give individuals that perceived differentiator about you? What makes you different? What types of things might they want? For example, if let's say you are open on a Saturday, running ads on Google on a Saturday, or saying that in your ad throughout the week, things like that you know that your competitors aren't doing. If you have emergency appointments and you have an offer or promotion for that, and you could target that within those ads, those would be some things to look at. If everyone's saying it within their ads, you probably don't want to say that. So look at, again, what is specific and unique. Specificity is also just critical in these. So those are some things that you're going to want to consider. We have some of that in the guide as well, so take a look there. But that's at a high level what I would recommend. All right, guys. We have a few questions we'll take directly. Looks like they're more specific on Firegang directly, so we'll take those. I don't see any public questions coming through. Just a few of you. John, I'll reach back out to you directly at your email. Mary, I'll do the same. Dr. F, I'll do that as well with you. Andrew, I've got you. Okay. Yep. We'll get back to you guys. I appreciate everyone showing up. Appreciate you guys taking the time. We'll be in touch with those that reach out. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll be in touch.